Hey everyone, welcome back to Shakespeare in the Ring. I am your humble host, Dr. Paul. Today is actually going to be the last ever, for now, Shakespeare in the Ring, where I am going to argue for Shakespeare's relevance. Why don't we kick him to the curb when there's been so much amazing writing since he lived and died? But first, we need to announce the winner of our last big fight, where our actors battled it out over Hamlet. Is he a sexually deprived woman-hater, or the prince of philosophical revenge? Well, the results are in, and you decided that Hamlet was Is Hamlet the prince of philosophical revenge or a sexually deprived woman-hater? Well, the results are in, and you decided that Hamlet was the prince of philosophical revenge. Hamlet still reigns in 2021. Thank you so much for placing your vote in the comments. If this is your first Shakespeare in the Ring, it's also kind of your last, but make sure to go back and check out those earlier ones. We had two actors battle it out over Richard III. How do we stage his character in the Me Too era? We had two actors battle it out over Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, who is more villainous. And of course, we had two actors battle it out over Hamlet. We also asked the question, was Shakespeare gay, and does that really still matter? And today we are going to argue for Shakespeare's relevance in the 21st century. Today I'm going to argue for Shakespeare's relevance in the 21st century. Why do we keep teaching Shakespeare, talking about him, staging him, turning him into movies when there's been so much spectacular writing since he lived and died in the 16th and 17th centuries? Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's not either or. We don't either showcase Shakespeare or showcase all these other writers. There's room for lots of them. And I'm the first to say Shakespeare definitely needs to take a side seat, the passenger seat, to all the newer writers, especially writers that have been hiding in the shadows of some of these greats. Perhaps in particular, Black, Indigenous, and people of color who have often taken a back seat to writers like Shakespeare. But that doesn't mean that Shakespeare is not relevant. There are so many reasons that Shakespeare should continue to be read and staged and taught and turned into movies today. So here's my argument. Shakespeare was perhaps the first writer in English to fully understand what it means to be human in all of our goodness and in all of our badness. What I'm going to do is just give a few examples from a bunch of his plays that demonstrate the whole range of emotions and experiences that Shakespeare studied in his plays. So let's start with Richard III, which is actually where we started Shakespeare in the Ring. Richard III gives us an expose of the depths of human evil. By contrast, we have Edgar in King Lear, who shows us the depths of human good. What lengths will we go to help others? Then we have Prince Hal in, I think this is, Henry IV, Part 1. This shows us the potential for humans to unfurl into a better version of ourselves. We see that in Prince Hal as he matures over the course of the play. Then we have Iago. This shows us our potential for maliciousness. And of course, we have Othello. Any of you who have ever experienced jealousy that has enraged you might recognize yourself in Othello, though I sincerely hope you won't, plot spoiler, murder your wife as a result. Then we have Angelo in the much less known but certainly tremendous Measure for Measure. And Angelo shows us the battle within ourselves. We have within ourselves the potential for good and the potential for evil, and those are at odds with each other. Which one's going to win? Who won for Angelo? Which one won for Angelo? You'll need to watch Measure for Measure or read it to discover that. Let's see what else. Oh, we've got Romeo and Juliet. This is one that almost everybody knows. Depending on what your high school teacher was like, you either loved or hated it. This makes or breaks Shakespeare, usually for teenagers who have to study Romeo and Juliet at school. And what you might have missed when you were at school is just how much Shakespeare showcases in this the glorious impetuousness of youth. What does it mean to defy your parents, to defy even your fate for somebody that you so completely fall in love with? The results may or may not be disastrous, but the rebellion is what is so incredible in this play. Let's go back to King Lear. King Lear is himself an incredibly flawed human being. And it's when he's out on the heath in the raging tempest that for the first time he considers what other people have to live through. He considers his own privilege. And looking at poor, naked, hungry wretches, he realizes that he has been selfish. What does he say? What does he say about himself? He says, "Oh, I have taken too little care of this." Couple more. We've got Twelfth Night. And in Twelfth Night, we have Sir Toby Belch, who says of what Oscar Wilde called uncomely Puritanism. We might just say a kind of over-practiced morality. He says, "Dost thou think, because thou art virtuous, there shall be no more cakes and ale?" In other words, let's keep searching for joy, even in the face of all sorts of rules that strive to constrain us. Then, of course, we've got The Merchant of Venice, and this has our winning character of Portia. It also has our deeply complex character of Shylock. And in Shylock, we learn about our common humanity, even while we are all incredibly diverse. Our racism, our xenophobia, our mistrust of others who are not like us is unfounded. We have all the same DNA. There's nothing genetically different about us. Okay, scientifically, we don't exactly have the same DNA, but you understand what I'm trying to say. So Shylock, defending himself against the brutality of the Christians, looks at them and says, "If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die?" And then, of course, there's Portia, who argues for all of us, I think, given our capacity to make mistakes and our capacity to need forgiveness. She argues for mercy rather than some kind of a severe justice. She says, "The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven." There's so much more that could be said about Shakespeare and why he still matters today. But I'm just going to finish with a couple of thoughts and then a farewell. My thoughts are, don't give up. Keep reading him. Keep going to plays by him. Keep watching movies by him. There's a new film. It's just come out. It's Joel Coen's production of The Tragedy of Macbeth. Can't wait to see that myself. Going back, we've got Baz Luhrmann's incredible production of Romeo and Juliet. Julie Taymor's amazing production of Titus Andronicus, just called Titus. And of course, there are about 10 billion productions of Hamlet. I would recommend checking out Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet with Kenneth Branagh in the title role. I don't want to say goodbye. This is the last video for now, but goodbyes are just so sad. So I think we should finish, hold on, let's see here, with a quote from Romeo and Juliet. "Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I should say good night till it be morrow."